Well, we could probably do a whole series on the stories behind the unclaimed funds held by Te Tumu Paeroa.
That's right, there's millions just sitting, waiting to be claimed by missing Māori landowners. We found the whanau in line to receive the largest payout on Te Tumu Paeroa's books.
It looks like pretty hard country, eh? How an elderly woman back in that era would possibly get here and turn some of this bush into usable garden, it's just beyond me.
It's taken more than a century for Ruhi Moinana's whanaunga to get close to her land. She never saw it herself.
It's a really sad story. In 1860s, Māori in the South Island started to complain that there were Māori without any land. 1886, Alexander Mackay journeyed around the South Island compiling a further list of names and identifying people who needed lands. Submitted to the Crown, and in 1908 the Silna Land Act and the Land Grants came about. Here's this elderly woman staying with her relations, her near relations in Kaiapoi, dependent on them, with no immediate family of her own, no income, no land of her own.
In 1909, Ruhi was granted shares in the Alton block.
For Ruhi, it was 14 years too late. She died in 1894. But for the aroha shown to her by some of her near relations, you know, her life could have been even more miserable.
Over $5 million is owed to Māori landowners. That cash is sitting in vaults like this. Believe it or not, the lowest amount owed is just 1 cent. The average amount, $80. But this, 70K, is the largest outstanding amount.
The new Māori trustee, Te Tumu Paeroa, manages 60,000 unclaimed monies accounts. Ruhi Moinana's account has been growing since 1911. Her whanau is in line for that 70K payday. But if Joseph didn't work at Ngāi Tahu's whakapapa unit, he'd have been none the wiser.
One of my workmates found a letter that had been filed under miscellaneous, I guess. He made the connection between one of the listed successors as one of my ancestors. So I started to make some inquiries and started to dig. That was about December 2009. I made a call home to Mum and I said, "Are you sitting down?" And she said, "Why?" And she sort of went, "Holy."
An hour out of Invercargill, this local feels sorry for Māori landowners.
As I say, the government's got them by the ball.
Joseph's road to succession also runs to the Māori Land Court. What have you learned from this?
Big wheels move slowly.
The first challenge is for prospective owners to complete their succession and to provide the material and evidence that the court requires to establish that they are entitled to succeed to those interests.
So it's a whakapapa really process, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. It can be a major research project, but all of the records are held within the Māori Land Court. We regard those records as being a receptacle of whakapapa. They are a taonga, therefore they need to be obviously handled carefully. In situations where you have long outstanding successions, very often the answer will be there.
Big Central North Island trusts are now employing people to find their missing owners. Putting aside the issue of who'd pay, could it work nationally to cut the 60,000 unclaimed monies accounts?
I really do agree with that. It would be great to have those who are entitled to those funds to be united, reunited with their money. I'm sure the whānau would be happy about that.
There are no images of Ruhi, only of descendants of her 2 siblings who, for unknown reasons, did not succeed to her interests.
Looking at the draft submission by the Māori Land Court, there were about 120 people who are identified as being entitled to share in that succession. In my mum's case, through her mother, she may receive maybe $200.
And his share?
My reward will be that, I guess one day that woman might bump into me in the afterlife and say, "Kia ora moko," and my aunties and my uncles might just give me a little bit of a wink or a pat or a kiss.
That wink is within sight now.
You can't help but be moved by the beauty of the place. It's good for your wairua. It's good for the spirit. Well, it looks like about as far as we're going to get today. I hope the journey just continues on and Ruahi's legacy finds its way to her descendants.